Melanie Perkins, from a small garage in Perth to the visionary powerhouse behind Canva, to founding and leading a $40 billion giant. Despite facing a relentless wave of rejection, this college dropout proved that resilience is the key to success. At just 30 years old, she became one of the youngest female entrepreneurs in history to create a tech unicorn, leading her startup to an astonishing valuation of $40 billion. But how did this young Australian woman make tech giants that have dominated the market for over 2 decades tremble? This is the roller coaster story of Melanie Perkins. Melanie was born in 1987 in Perth, a city in Western Australia. No one in her family had an entrepreneurial spirit. In fact, her mother was a teacher and her father an engineer. From a very young age, Melanie demonstrated that she was an enterprising and determined girl. In addition to excelling academically and being a model student, during high school she dreamed of becoming a professional figure skater. Every day she woke up at 4:30 a.m. to train and work toward her goal. But her ambitions did not stop there. She is a young girl in the sunny city of Perth, and she is ambitious, but mostly curious. At the young age of 14, with the help of her mother, she ventured into her first entrepreneurial activity. Melanie decided to buy semi-finished scarves from factories to create her own handmade scarves. She would cut and embroider them herself, then have her mother drive her to women's clothing stores around Perth to try to sell them. Melanie collaborated with these clothing stores using a consignment model, meaning she was paid only when the stores sold the scarves to their customers. As you might imagine, the scarf business didn't last long, but it marked Melanie's first entrepreneurial experience and the origin of her ambitions. Perkins enrolled at the University of Western Australia, majoring in communications, psychology, and commerce. It was there that Melanie met Clifford Obrecht, her life partner, future husband, and co-founder of the entrepreneurial ventures that would define Melanie's life in the years to come. During her first year of university, Melanie spent a lot of time at the university's multimedia center. Soon, she was invited to work as a receptionist there, and later to teach design programs to other students. During her lessons, Melanie found herself teaching many different software programs. There was one program for video creation, one for graphic design, another for illustrations, and so on. Each program had different functionalities, interfaces, and a high level of complexity. Melanie spent the first semester of her class just explaining the features and where to find them in the different applications. Even after 6 months, her students couldn't create anything on their own. It required years of study and thousands of hours to manage such complexity. For Melanie, all this was ridiculously complicated. When she thought about the digital design industry 10 years ahead, she assumed it was inevitable that the user experience would be completely different. At home, she saw her mother struggling with these design programs. Her mother, a teacher, was trying to create a yearbook. Melanie recounted that her mother spent 800 hours creating the yearbook, a significant workload and time commitment for someone who didn't do it professionally and had to balance this with other responsibilities. Melanie, thinking about the future of these applications, envisioned a solution that could be online and accessible to a larger audience. She was observing the rise of Facebook and MySpace, where users could jump in and create from day one without needing months or years to learn the tools. It was at this point that Melanie began to understand what she wanted to do with her life. Although she wasn't fully aware of her future, the rough idea of Canva was beginning to take shape in her mind. Melanie realized there was an opportunity to simplify the digital design industry, specifically the creation of yearbooks at that time. In 2007, Melanie decided to create Fusion Books with her boyfriend Cliff. The idea of Fusion Books was based on identifying a problem schools were facing at the time: the management of complex design, printing, and logistics processes to create high-quality yearbooks. To solve this problem, Melanie and Cliff envisioned an online platform that would allow users to easily design and customize school yearbooks, eliminating the need for advanced software or design skills. Users would access a website and use a drag-and-drop editor to personalize layouts, add photos, text, and graphics, making the process intuitive even for those without technical expertise. Once the design was completed, Melanie would handle the printing and delivery, simplifying logistics for schools and allowing them to focus solely on the design of the yearbook. All of this could be marketed at affordable and competitive prices thanks to centralized production and economies of scale. To make this possible, Melanie and Cliff needed to create the technological platform that could turn this idea into reality. Neither of them knew how to code, but that didn't stop them from pursuing their dream of revolutionizing yearbook creation. With the help of Greg Mitchell, the founder of a software development company called In-Depth, they secured a 50,000 Australian dollar loan from friends and family and hired In-Depth to develop the first version of their software. Melanie began sketching and designing templates for the yearbooks, as well as the elements that users could include in their yearbook designs using the drag-and-drop feature. In the end, Fusion Books was ready, and the site launched with a simple and humorous tagline: "You don't need a year to create your yearbook." At first, Melanie had to make do with what she had. She transformed her mother's living room into a small printing factory filled with printers. Trucks delivered paper and printer cartridges, while couriers came to pick up the printed yearbooks. Fusion Books allowed students and teachers to design their own school yearbooks using a simple drag-and-drop tool equipped with a library of design templates filled with photos, illustrations, and fonts. The idea immediately gained traction, and soon they had their first customer, not from Perth, but from a private school in Sydney that found the website online. The school sent the first check for $100 to Fusion Books. Over the following years, Fusion Books became a small business. By 2011, 300 Australian schools were using it for their yearbooks, making the startup a reality in Australia. Despite achieving remarkable success with Fusion Books, Melanie never lost sight of her crazy big dream of creating a comprehensive, all-in-one design platform. Her vision was to integrate the entire design ecosystem into a single website, based on 3 fundamental pillars: making design programs accessible to the entire world with an easy-to-use experience, bridging the gap between the start of the creative process and content publication as much as possible, offering this service at a democratic price, ensuring inclusivity and avoiding the need for people to spend thousands of dollars on licenses for Photoshop, Illustrator, and other creative software. To turn this idea into reality, however, 24-year-old Melanie needed someone to support her financially and provide guidance for this new venture. At the time, a startup event was being held in Perth, attended by Bill Tai, a legendary venture capitalist from Silicon Valley. Melanie attended the conference and managed to steal 5 minutes of Bill Tai's time for a conversation. During this brief chat, Melanie secured an invitation to San Francisco to meet him and discuss her ambitious dream. Following this, Melanie attempted to contact Bill several times, tried to get him to sign an NDA, and sent him multiple messages. However, she did not receive any response. In a desperate attempt to keep this vital contact alive, Melanie wrote to Bill, saying she would soon be traveling to California and asking if he would have the opportunity to meet her. To her surprise, Bill responded positively. Melanie packed her bags and flew to California to meet her first major potential investor. Melanie had a 3-month visa in the US to try and get Bill on board with her project, while Cliff stayed in Australia to manage Fusion Books. Upon arriving in San Francisco, Melanie met with Bill. She presented her first pitch deck printed by Fusion Books, titled The Future of Publishing. In this pitch, Melanie described her idea, still in its early stages, but the foundation of what would become Canva just a few years later. Melanie's goal was ambitious: to replace Microsoft Office as the world's dominant publishing platform. She explained her vision of making design software simple and accessible to everyone, positioning her idea as an evolution of the simplification and collaboration already achieved by Google Docs, which had recently been launched. For example, take the work of a newsletter editor. Before Google Docs, the editor would receive multiple emails from writers contributing to the newsletter, manage them, and coordinate the various files attached. Google Docs introduced a platform where writers could work on a single online document simultaneously, streamlining the process. However, what Google Docs didn't address was the next step for the newsletter editor: the design process before publication. After the document is written, the editor must design the newsletter, which typically involves taking the text and working offline on software like Adobe InDesign or Microsoft Publisher to prepare it for publication. Every page must be designed from scratch on offline software using a single computer, and the creation process is highly time-consuming. To handle this entire process, the editor needs to use multiple programs and possess extensive experience in managing creative workflows. During the meeting, Bill seemed distracted, spending most of the time on his phone, leaving Melanie with the impression that the meeting had been a complete failure. After the meeting, Melanie followed up by sending updates to Bill via email. In the end, Bill was interested. During the meeting, he wasn't disinterested, but was instead reaching out to contacts and potential supporters who could help Melanie develop her idea.
Every time he would say, like, how was my business going, he'd also be like, how's your kite surfing going? So I kind of needed to learn to kite surf.
Oh, wow.
And
never done it before.
I had not done it before, and to be honest, it's not something that I would normally naturally try. It's my risk tolerance.
Risky,
yeah, it's probably. But yeah, decided to give it a go, because when you don't have any connections, you don't have any network, you just kind of had to wedge your foot in the door and then just wiggle it all the way through.
Bill agreed to invest in Melanie's project, but only on one condition: she needed to find a strong tech team. However, he provided significant assistance in this regard, introducing her to Lars Rasmussen, the co-founder of Google Maps and Google Wave, who immediately recognized the potential of Melanie's vision for real-time collaborative editing. The outcome of her 3-month trip to California was transformative. Melanie succeeded in convincing her first investor to believe in her and her project. She returned to Australia and began the search for a tech co-founder, which was the last piece required to secure Bill's commitment. This marked the start of a year-long, intensive search by Melanie. She sifted through resumes and LinkedIn profiles, sharing them with Lars for feedback.
Then I met Lars Rasmussen, who co-founded Google Maps. On my second day in San Francisco, Bill introduced me to him. And he said that he'd be a technical advisor, but what that actually entailed was a year of him just rejecting everyone I brought him. So, which was really not that fun. It was actually very frustrating at the time. But I think what was really beneficial about that was he knew the technical complexity of what we needed to build.
Finally, her persistence yielded results, and Melanie discovered Cameron Adams and Dave Herndon, both from Google, who became Canva's co-founders and CTO. With the missing piece in place, Bill was officially on board. Melanie had secured the Silicon Valley investors' support and was now ready to find additional investors to join the first funding round. On January 1st, 2012, Canva was officially founded in Sydney by its 3 co-founders: Melanie Perkins, Cliff Obrecht, and Cameron Adams. What followed was a series of meetings with 100 investors, during which Melanie delivered numerous pitches. Each rejection helped her refine her concept further, using investor feedback to identify key questions to address and solutions to develop. By 2013, 2 years after her first meeting with Bill, and after receiving various feedback from investors, the idea behind Canva had become much more defined than in its earlier stages. The opportunity Canva sought to seize in 2011 was at the intersection of the rapid spread of social networks, the growing infiltration of smartphones and tablets, the rise of digital cameras, and the increasing availability of faster internet connections. In 2013, the market opportunity became a $138 billion market, arising from the intersection of potential markets within the design services industry, stock photo market, desktop publishing, and print industry. Canva's mission was to empower everyone to access the design industry by addressing a significant gap in the market. It aimed to position itself as a low-budget solution offering a complete creative experience. This positioned Canva as an alternative to competitors with low creative flexibility at lower prices and to highly complex premium-priced design tools. Melanie sought to capture a completely new audience, not just individuals looking to switch from existing design tools, but also people who had never had access to these resources. Many small businesses, students, and individuals with creative ideas were excluded from professional design software due to high costs or complexity. Additionally, she wanted to target these customers with a completely new business model. At the time, tools like Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, which were industry standards, followed a subscription-based model. Melanie believed that adopting a freemium model was the key to realizing this vision and positioning Canva as a disruptive force in the market. By offering a free version of Canva, users could access a wide range of templates, tools, and design features without the financial burden of subscription-based tools like Photoshop. This approach enabled individuals, startups, and small businesses to create professional designs without paying expensive upfront costs. For users requiring advanced features, Canva's paid version provided access to an extensive library of templates, images, and branding tools, offering a budget-friendly upgrade option. In the first quarter of 2013, Melanie raised $3 million in a seed round. Through 100 pitches, she successfully convinced the first 30 investors, each contributing amounts ranging from $10,000 to $250,000. Meanwhile, the Australian government had launched a startup funding program called Commercialisation Australia, designed to support Australian-based startups. The program contributed $2 million across Canva's first and second funding rounds as a non-repayable grant. 25 months after Melanie's initial trip to California, on August 8, 2013, Canva was officially launched to the public. At its launch, Canva published guides on its website to help users understand the simplicity of the tool. These guides featured videos of users interacting with Canva and narrating their actions. However, the initial public reaction was fear, as the tool was still perceived as complex due to comparisons with the leading design software of the time. This challenge led Melanie to introduce a working model that would define Canva's success and continues to be a cornerstone of the company's innovation process today. Melanie called this method close the loop. Once Canva addressed the issue and found a solution, the loop was closed by personally notifying the user, thanking them for their input, and fostering strong engagement with the community. Melanie believed that every piece of user feedback was invaluable. The process started with gathering comments and feedback, identifying the needs they highlighted, and evaluating whether the problem could be solved. The video-based guides were replaced with step-by-step interactive tutorials designed to boost engagement, make using the tool fun, and demonstrate its simplicity. Canva's first significant market success came with social media marketers, professionals who needed to create content easily but lacked expertise in graphic design. They leveraged Canva's templates and drag and drop functionality to create high-quality content efficiently. Canva also introduced a paid version with advanced features, such as team collaboration, custom branding, and access to exclusive design elements to cater to professional users. Until that point, Canva was still free for all users. 2 years after its launch, Melanie decided it was time to introduce the paid version of Canva, Canva Pro. During the same year, Canva reached the significant milestone of 1 million monthly active users. Canva's rapid growth was a constant. Melanie's next goal was to fulfill Canva's vision of empowering everyone. To achieve this, the company needed to embrace creators worldwide, not just English speakers. This led to Canva's journey toward internationalization. Starting in 2016, Canva introduced Spanish and 20 additional languages. By 2017, Canva was available in over 100 languages. In January 2018, Canva reached a valuation of $1 billion, becoming one of the few Australian tech startups to achieve unicorn status. And Melanie became one of the youngest female entrepreneurs in history to found a tech unicorn.
Did you know what a unicorn was before you got into this world?
I didn't know what a unicorn was, or a venture capitalist, or a startup, or actually any of those things until we learnt about it through our journey.
Canva is now a global phenomenon and has the necessary capital to consolidate its position in the digital tools space. It is no longer a startup. It now has the resources to grow not just organically, but also inorganically through major acquisitions. Canva can now enhance its offerings by acquiring specialized and innovative teams in their respective fields. From 2018 to 2024, Canva decided to acquire 5 key players in the industry to continuously expand its offerings. In 2018, Canva acquired Zeetings, a UK-based startup. This acquisition was part of Canva's strategy to expand its offerings in the area of presentations and strengthen its position as a leading tool for creating diverse content. In 2019 and 2020, Canva made a significant step in positioning itself as a comprehensive design tool with an unparalleled content library, making it even easier for users to create professional-looking designs without worrying about copyright issues or licensing fees. During this time, Canva acquired Pexels and Pixabay. In 2021, it was Kaleido's turn. Kaleido is a startup specializing in artificial intelligence, particularly in visual content creation using AI technology. The acquisition of Kaleido primarily aimed to enhance Canva's AI capabilities. Integrating Kaleido's technologies into Canva's platform enabled it to offer advanced features that further simplified visual content creation, improving the overall user experience. Thanks to these strategic acquisitions and Canva's innovative efforts, the platform reached over 220 million monthly active users and 30 billion designs created so far. The future for Canva promises new milestones and challenges with 2 main priorities. The first priority is using AI for constant and rapid innovation. Following the 2021 acquisition of Kaleido, Canva also acquired Leonardo to further advance its AI-driven innovations. The artificial intelligence, more than many other technologies, serves as an enabling factor to simplify the creative experience. The second priority is targeting the enterprise market. Melanie Perkins recently stated that Canva's mission to empower everyone is now in an advanced stage. The next objective is to penetrate the enterprise market by offering more sophisticated, complex, and tailored solutions. In May, Canva launched Canva Enterprise. Considering that today more than 95% of the Fortune 500 are using Canva to create, collaborate, and communicate, the future for Canva leaves little room for doubt.